Today I'm going to show you how to make a turkey using just one piece of paper. You're going to need your crayons, piece of paper, and if you want to use a Sharpie you can, but a pencil works fine. The way we're going to get started is a regular piece of paper or construction piece of paper. If you don't have a piece of paper, you can use a piece of thin cardboard or something to cut from. This is the way you start. You need to use your hand at the bottom of your paper. So I have my paper going a long way. I'm going to use my hand at the bottom of my paper. My wrist is hanging off, so it's just my hand on there. I'm going to trace around my hand, and I'm using marker so that you can see it well. You might want to use pencil so that you don't have the lines showing when you're done. Okay, I trace around my hand. Sometimes it's easiest to have somebody else do that for you. Okay, next I'm going to cut that out. Alright, I'm going to cut, as carefully as I can. Okay, so I have my hand cut out, and I'm not going to throw away my scraps. You're going to use these scraps to create the feathers and some other parts of the body of the turkey. So you can decide which way you want your turkey to go. It doesn't really matter. One way to get rid of the lines showing is to just flip it over and have your turkey going this way. All right. And you need to decide what color you'd like your turkey. So I'm going to color my turkey. I'm actually going to put in the eyes first. I'm going to put in two kind of googly looking eyes here, leaving a little bit of white in there so that it looks like real eyes. And then I'm going to color around that with my brown, because the turkey's feathers are kind of a brownish color along their body. I'm coloring where I know I'm going to see the brown part, but I also am going to add in a little bit of a wing feather here. And I'm not going to color all of that brown. I'm going to kind of go around this like this. I'm going to color those wing feathers some other colors. I'm leaving these white because we're going to cover those up with some other feathers that we make different colors. Okay. You can press hard. You could use a darker brown if you want. Okay. The next part is to take your scraps, and we're going to use our scraps to cut our feathers from. But instead of cutting out the feathers first and then trying to color this small piece of paper, we're actually going to color the spaces that we're going to cut the feathers from and the beak. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to color the corner of this paper orange. And I'm going to cut two triangles from that. Okay. And it's a lot easier for me to already have them colored orange, and instead of trying to color on this small piece of paper. So I colored on my white paper first and then cut my triangles out. I'm going to put a little bit of glue. Glue stick works fine. And I'm going to put my beak on here where it looks like it's open a little bit. Now it kind of comes to life a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to make my feathers kind of red and orange and yellow, kind of fall colors, even though on a real turkey those are not exactly the colors you would see. Most of them would be brown. Okay, I'm going to color the outside of the feathers, wing feathers, red, like that. Then I'm going to do an orange. And then a yellow. And then I'm overlapping my colors just a little bit. Okay, and that looks pretty. All right, now the next part, like I told you before, we're going to make the colors on here and then cut the feathers from it. So I have a lot of space on this white paper to cut from. And I'm going to make these long spaces that I could cut a feather shape from. that are colors. So I'm going to make some red ones. You don't have to actually draw the feathers because you're going to cut the shapes of the feathers from it. Okay, I'm going to make 3 red ones. Oops. I'm going to make some orange spaces. And some yellow spaces, and I have 4 fingers that I'm going to glue these to, and really it takes, because the thumb isn't going to count, it takes really 2 of the feathers to cover up the background of where the finger was. So if I have 4 fingers that I have to cover up, and each has to be covered up with 2 feathers, I need 8 feathers. 1, 2, 7, 8, 9. I have 9. So that's okay. I can put 3 on one. All right, and the way that you cut out the shape is to cut almost like a long football shape, like a feather shape or a leaf shape. And I'm going to cut, I don't want to waste any of the red that I made. I'm going to cut a feather shape from that. And then it's already colored and ready to go. It's a lot easier to color it on this paper than it is to try to color it after. And another thing you can do after you get them cut out is to make it really look like feathers by cutting little slits in the sides and doing it along the other side too without cutting it in half. You don't want to cut all the way across. And most feathers would have those little edges on an angle so that they point in toward the center. Okay. Okay, so now I have all my feathers cut, and I have made little feathery edges on almost all of them. Let's put a couple more here. And I have to strategically glue them to what used to be my 4 fingers. And I have 9 feathers, but I only have 4 fingers. So if I put 2 feathers on each finger, I'm going to have 1 remaining feather that I can decide where it might go. So I'm going to put some glue on my finger, and I'm not going to try to create a pattern, but I don't want all my reds next to each other. Okay. I'm going to put some glue on this finger, and I haven't used an orange yet. See how it covers up the finger quite well. And I have my 2, 4. Oops, put that on upside down. Put that one on upside down too. I want my points of my feather to stick out to go in that direction. And then I'm going to put this one here and this one here. I have 1 remaining feather because I have 2, 4, 6, 8. I have 1 remaining feather because I made 9. And I think there's quite a bit of space here, so I'm going to cut this one. I'm going to put some glue here and stick them right in there. There. Now I have all sorts of cool feathers. Now my turkey looks a little funny here because it's so flat right there. So I'm going to cut a little curve so it looks more like a turkey's body. All right, and I'm still missing a couple of things. I'm missing the legs and I'm missing the little gobbler thingamabob. So the gobbler thing is red. So I'm going to color some red space. And then I'm going to cut the shape I want out of that. Just kind of like a cloudy, drippy shape. A little bit fatter at the top. Kind of bumpy. And kind of an easy shape to make because it could be any shape as long as it looks like kind of a blob, right? And I still have enough of my scraps that I can color some brown or whatever color you want your feet and do some legs and feet. So I'm going to color and then I'm going to cut some legs. Okay, and I'll make this leg, make them stick out a little bit like that. So that they look a little bit more like bird feet. And toes, all right? And that was kind of long to me, so I'm going to make sure I tuck them under my turkey quite a bit. That one like that one like that. Okay, looks like he's standing up, or she, right? And there you have your turkey. And what's really nice about this project is you have very few scraps to throw away because you used up all your scraps, which is taking care of the earth at the same time as making a turkey. So have a great Thanksgiving.